Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. Today, I've got a very special guest with me here today. I pulled him off the yoga floor and said, hey, jump on my podcast. This is Ian, and Ian has been my yoga instructor now for, I'm going to say probably 3 years.
Yeah, I think
at least. But Ian's pretty special, and that's why he got the privilege of being able to sit with us today, or we get the privilege of listening to him today.
Thank you for having me.
And he's going to talk to us a little bit today about his business. And I want to talk a little bit about business owners and looking after themselves. And because it's so important, right? If the business owner's driving the business, they've got to be able to take care of themselves, because else they're going to be a bad leader and they're going to make bad decisions and they're going to lack in creativity when it comes to marketing and the management of their marketing, which is what I find, right? So for me, it's really easy. I've owned health, wellness and fitness centers for 25 years. So balancing work and play has been very important for me. Balancing my health has always been important for me. I always exercise. I always watch what I eat. Yeah, just pick it up and watch it go in my mouth. But it's so super important to make sure that it's not just the high energy stuff all the time, that you do balance it with the yoga stuff. And I learned that a couple of years ago, and that's when I got into yoga and I got into breath work and meditation. And it's been an absolute game changer for me, who is undiagnosed as ADHD, right? It's my superpower. So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
All right. Well, first of all, I haven't seen you in class in the past couple of weeks, so you must be really, really busy.
I was in Sydney presenting.
Oh, really something else. I don't know what's happening there, but you're here, right? So we find it connected, but it's off the mat, which is cool anyways. Yeah, so I have a business called, well, it's actually under my name, Ian Cariaga, but people call me Guru. Initially had some, I guess, a logo that stated Guru on there, and that's what they call me. I don't know if that's what it is, but really the word guru means from lightness, so from darkness to lightness. So it's actually two words, and what it means in the yogic sense, in the sciences of yoga, is that it's bringing you out from darkness or obscurity into lightness or clarity.
Oh, I love that. I've just come back from a 4-day conference in Sydney. I landed back like late last night, and there was a lot of talk about how people are trying to be too clever when it comes to names. And if you come up with a clever name, you have to explain it. So I love the fact that you gave us the name, but you also explained the meaning behind it, because that's how people will then connect to that and connect to you. Yeah. So I absolutely love that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and it was just something, I think we did do it in numerology a little bit, but it was what someone called me that. And you're like the guru. I'm like, I'm not a guru. Like, I'm only how old? And I'm only 90 years old, right? So I think I need more years on my belt. But yeah, it stuck from there, and it's gone from me just practicing yoga myself to now this business, right? So I've been doing it for about 37 years. So it's a long time, which now gives you a hint of how old I am or how young I am. And since that time, it's actually progressed, because it started off for me as meditation, right? To get away from my parents, to cope and manage through school. And then I played at a high level of sport where it was like full days, right? Before school, sport practice; after school, sport practice. So it took a toll on my mental health at the time. And no one really spoke about it when you're young. You just get on with it, right? Just eat, sleep, get on with it. So I started meditating from that to see how far I can take myself from being, I guess, chattery or busy in the mind to stillness. Not necessarily clearing thoughts out, but just being still and sitting in certain positions that made me feel really uncomfortable, even though it was somewhat flexible, and just not moving for initially it was like 30 seconds, and then a minute, and then 5 minutes, and then 20, 30, an hour, and then an hour and a half. And then by that time, my meditative state got so, I guess, honed that you kind of leave the body, right? That's how I would explain it, is that you don't feel it at that moment, but then when you get out of it, it took you like 10 minutes to actually move, right? Full on rigor mortis. But really, it was coming back to that. How can I manage the mind better based on all these external factors that are occurring in my life? So it's really not so much of managing what is around you, but more so managing what's within you.
Oh, I absolutely love that. So for myself, who's, hyperactive, and I've got a lot of stimulation coming at me all the time, I can't change that because of the life that I lead. I can't change the external environment, but I can manage the way that I deal with it. And I think that's, so important. And I didn't never like the word meditation. I used to like cringe when I heard the word. I was like, oh my God, you're going to make me sit there and like, how am I going to do this? It used to freak me out. But you mentioned the word stillness. And I think no matter how busy I am in my day, and I'm an early riser, so 4 a.m. in the morning, and I go to bed at about 8:30 at night, there has to be some sort of allocated time in the day where you actually are not on your phone and you are still and you're just present with yourself. And for me, that's what meditation is. And I just started with that. And that was an easy start for me. And since then, it's progressed into sort of other variations. But it's like any muscle, right? You've got to work that muscle.
Yeah,
it's uncomfortable in the beginning, but every time you do it, it gets easier and better. And that's how I manage my day to day. And people go, Chantal, you get so much shit done. How do you get so much shit done? You're so active and you do so much. And you know, if you want something done, ask a busy person. And I go, I can do it because I do look after my health and I have to look after my mind, and I've got to be able to self-regulate as well. And doing yoga has been a part of that for me.
And that's massive, because if you think of you're training your body physically, then you're conditioning the muscles. But in yoga and meditation, you're also doing fitness, but in a mental way. So I call it mental fitness. You still have to condition yourself in that sense. But the stillness comes from you detaching and really, you say, not concentrating or not focusing, because that's what the translation of meditation is, dhyani, not to concentrate and not to focus. So how long can you go without focusing on one specific thing or numerous things, and how long can you go without concentrating on one or a few things? That's really it.
Yeah,
right?
and so saying that to a control freak like is like, you know, and this is how it is for me. So if I go, I always say now I was a control freak, because I don't feel like I am anymore. And when I was always told for many years, Chantal, you've got to learn how to detach, I'd be like, detach. Like, it was like a painful thing to have to do. But there is so much enjoyment and pleasure in being able to do it. But there's also the faith in the knowing that that's not going to stop me from having control when I come back from it. It's still, in fact, it actually gives me more power, more focus, more clarity by actually tapping out to tap back in again. And I've learned that since then, and this is why I enjoy doing it. That's why I got my camper van. I bought my camper van almost 2 years ago now, and I use my camper van, you know, when I come back from trips and that, just to go and ground, just to breathe, just to recenter.
That's it. It is about getting that center back to the field that you have. And with like yoga, in terms of business standpoint, it's how can you regulate what is going on in your head, no matter what circumstances are around you, and then becoming effectively just efficient, right? So initially you'd go from when you first start doing yoga meditation, this is happening, that's happening, you're worrying about everything else, but the main thing that you're supposed to be doing is just breathing, essentially, right? And then eventually become more efficient of how you manage the time that you do the practice, and then managing within that practice what you are doing within the practice. So whether you're thinking or emoting or feeling, that also becomes more efficient. So you're not wasting your time and especially your energy on what do I need to do now, or how am I doing this now? Because really it doesn't really matter as long as you come back to what is we call it sankalpa, or intention, that if you have an intention for that practice before you go into it, then do it. Like I don't generally have an intention when I go into yoga. I just do it. Right? So whatever's required at the time, that will come to me when I'm doing it, right? So you're not going on a preconceived idea of I need to do this, and then if it doesn't work out, then you'll be upset or frustrated or whatever's happening, right? So then again, you're trying to control the situation that actually hasn't happened yet. Or you're going to try to control a situation that has already happened, which is like pointless, right? So then that's an inefficiency of how you manage your energy, your time, your thoughts and your emotions and your physical body.
Oh my gosh. And I see this so much, you know, when I work with business owners and I work with their marketing managers and their marketing teams, I see this all the time because everybody is scrambling around worrying about it not working. And there's no benefit for them to worry about what's not working. And what they do then is they carry on working and they reactively just start to do things and spit out content and stuff, and they become inefficient, they become uncreative. And the amount of times that I've said it, and this is weird for a marketing person to say to them, is to say, could you stop? I actually need you to go outside, I need you to ground, I need you to breathe, and I don't want you to come back and do anything until you've actually recentered again, because they're so here that they're not in here, that they've lost any sense of efficiency and creativity, which is so important. They look at me and they go, what?
Yeah, so that's a good point that you mentioned in terms of creativity, because with yoga, there's the balance between the left and right side of the body, left and right hemispheres, your brains, and which works to like logic and analytical thinking, but then at the same time, imagination and creativity, they need to be balanced for you to work efficiently, to live efficiently, right? So when it comes to what you're talking about marketing, it's like you want to be able to be logical in your approach to what is required in a creative way, because that keeps the balance.
Yeah.
Right. So, and if we call it coherence, and that's something I've been working on as of the past year, that I'm going to be rolling out pretty soon with a couple of professionals in their field. One's a doctor and things like that. In regards to ensuring that you are coherent between your brain and your heart, right? Because if there's a mismatch there, and an incoherence, then the functionality of everything that is around you and within you actually is going to be off, right? So there'll be a massive imbalance, and you'll be actually just pushing against the grain or causing inflammation within your body, which then is a detriment to your health.
Oh, so true.
So that'll be coming out soon. Yeah.
It's so good. And there's so many things there that I want to talk about, because I recently just did my trauma coaching certificate, and it was really just to sort out my own stuff, because I was so much in my head. And when I looked at all this neuroscience stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, it just makes sense how you're so reactive, because the brain is going like grrr the whole time. So any little thing that comes at it just takes it on and just like blows it up, you know. And my mother's Italian, so I come from an Italian family. So dramatizing everything is part of what we do. But understanding that if you can just bring like those circuits down, and if you can bring those circuits down within the body, that you can have more clarity and you can actually do things. And you know, yoga's a part of that. Now, you mentioned the inflammation and stuff within the body, and how the body manifests what's going on, right? And I know that when I was going through a very difficult time in my life and I was doing yoga, Ian could see it. He knew nothing about what was going on in my life, but I was stiff, I was inflexible, I'd just cry on the mat, you know, and he could see something was going on. And he could also see when suddenly I was passing through that it wasn't happening anymore. So talk a little bit about that and how that works.
Yeah, so it comes back down to intuition and how we can manage what we know about ourselves just at a higher level and a higher rate. So, for example, I did a yoga class last night, and someone that I've never seen before walks into the class, right? But I have this, I guess people say, this gift that before you walk in, you already know what people are going through. So there's certain things I said within this class that you could see her ears lifted, right? Her eyes rose up, and she laughed a couple of times. And then I said, you know, you're here. I'm glad that you've finally made it to come to the class. And she's, what are you talking about? Right? I go, because I've never seen you before. You're here. And she goes, I know I needed yoga because of what's been going on in my life with work and this. And she had a psychology background, right, to do with that. So she said, I understood what you said with the metaphysics of what you talk about, how what you create in your mind, right, and just the energy that you emit has a direct connection and reflection to how your body responds or reacts. Right. So then there's certain things I was saying which struck a chord with her. And then at the end of the class, she said, thank you. We had a little bit of a chat. And I said, well, you're here because of what happened to you. She said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, about 7.5 to 8 years ago, you're still dealing with that. Right. And she said, what are you talking about? I go, do you remember what happened at that time? And she's like, yeah, I broke up out of a relationship. I go, yeah, so 9 years of this relationship. She goes, how'd you know it's 9 years? And I go, oh, sorry for getting into your head. But anyways, let's get back to why are you here, right? You thought you dealt with it, but you're not, because your body is sending out signals that it's in still a state of trauma, right, from that episode of your life or that experience of your life. And you're here now to recognize that, acknowledge it, address it, and then hopefully service it or deal with it.
And if you don't, it will slap you in the face. So this is where people's back pain gets so sore, their shoulder pain gets so sore. I remember when I was going through my divorce, I had shoulder pain for about a year before I went through the divorce. And I went to physio, I did gym, I did all these things, and everyone looked at it, they said, there's nothing wrong with your shoulder. And I had this massive pain in my shoulder for a year. I couldn't move it. I couldn't do anything. And as soon as I made the decision to go through my divorce, it immediately released.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it just absolutely fundamental. So I think it's important to pay attention to your body, pay attention to where you put your energy and how you take care of yourself and look after yourself is so important. I mean, now in yoga, I can do binds. And when I first went into yoga and I was watching all these girls, stick their hands under their legs and crawl around each other and whatever, and like in a knot and then
like a ribbon.
Stand up. And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. My arms were like this far away,
Yeah.
And now I can just go into the bind and I can.
Arms. You got T-Rex arms.
And now I can do it. I can actually do a bind, And it took time, but it took trust. It took showing up. It took, letting go of past things and trying out new things.
Yeah. So what I say with the yoga is that it comes back down to, like maybe with anything, but really it comes back down to discipline, right? You're disciplined to do what you need to do. You're consistent with what you need to do. And then you're committed in regards to what you need to do. Right. So in yoga, that's how I say just show up with those 3 points and you're on your way. Right. Because I mentioned that always in class that the posture is just a consequence of how well you manage your mind. Right. The flexibility and the mobility will come the more you manage what's going on in your thoughts and your emotions, because that causes the body to tighten, to stress, to release chemicals that are, again, poisoning your body rather than the chemicals that should be tonically healing your body. So that's something that I reiterate in yoga all the time, that it's not about bending, it's not about twisting, it's not about stretching, right? Because I get a lot of people, I don't do yoga because I'm not flexible. I go, well, no one comes here because they're already flexible, because it has nothing to do with that, right? That's the thing. So that's a big thing with how we can manage ourselves to be healthier, both mentally, emotionally, so then that the physical part will follow suit with that.
So you can see why I show up for his yoga classes, right? Because he annoys the crap out of me when he says you have to manage your mind.
Yeah. And you can see
it's not your body, it's your mind.
It's your mind. That's all it is, right? Because it's a resource for you. It's a tool. Like your thoughts are not you. Your emotions are not you. They're yours. Like you own them in a way, but they're not you. So people start to believe that what they're thinking is truly them. Right? Yeah. They become too identified with their thoughts and emotions, their memories, their traumas, whatever it is, right? And that holds in the body. So I say to people, listen to your body whisper before it starts to scream at you. Right? Yep. And that's where the screaming becomes injury, sickness, illness, disease, right?
It's a sign of something. It's the universe saying to you, hey, something's going on here. You got to listen to it, 100%. So you've got this, you use this amazing platform called Patreon, okay, as a subscription-based model for a service provider, which I absolutely love. I'm actually very familiar with Patreon. A lot of influencers that I work with use the platform. It's not very much known. So could you just talk about Patreon and how you use it for your body, and just share with everyone how it allows you to be able to connect with your audience and create a subscription-based model for people?
Yeah, it's actually really amazing, because it started off, I just stumbled on it based on, I guess I did a lot of art and art history throughout school. So I managed to weave my way and then find this website called Patreon, because I was doing yoga on another platform during COVID. And that was here and there. It wasn't refined as much. So then I found Patreon, and it's amazing for creators to build a subscription platform, right? And you can post on it similar to how WordPress did back in the day. And this way you can have a shop on there, you have links on there, video content, you can do a podcast on there if you wanted to as well. So with a certain amount of hours, and people would pay on that subscription model on the site itself, and then you would just get to pay it, monthly, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And it sends also like links for your subscribers or potential subscribers to log on to and follow, right? So you can have free membership, you can have public membership, you can have paid membership. Right? So I find that that's really good. It works well. Like in my classes, which is my platform, I'll just mention, hey, I'm on Patreon, and that will lead you to the content that's on the page or the website. But at the same time, there's links towards YouTube to get into my YouTube channel.
Yeah, so it's amazing. It's a great management tool for you to be able to connect with your audience on different levels of subscription. So, for example, and I would encourage, I imagine you've got a free subscription as well. Yes. So free one, and you've obviously got a routine where you'll drop certain content onto the free platform, and then constantly saying, hey, if you want more access to me, or you want to do live training, or you want meditations, or you want, extra support, then you can pay this membership monthly and you'll get access to that. So therefore you can drop all that additional content into that subscription-based platform as well. So there's three different levels.
You can do as many as you want, really. As many as you want.
Yeah. So how many levels do you have?
I have at the moment, so there's the free one, and then there's 2 more, right? I had another one in regards to private coaching and things like that. The people just text me directly and says, "Can I just want to do private coaching? Can we set it up?" So they don't really use Patreon if they're not on it. But 2 other tiers, so you'll get a middle tier where people will get exclusive content, more so than the free, but then there's one above that I call totality, and so you get basically everything, right? So it includes free classes that I do outdoors, like at certain events. You can get access to that, right? And it's only $9 a month, so it's not much, right? Because I find that in regards to your health and wellness, people spend hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get very little return on that result of what they're looking for, when a majority of it is basically within you, right? To heal. Yeah. Right. Whatever wound's been going on, whatever has been going on in your life, it's within that needs to manifest and be created or regenerated or destroyed in some ways. And it shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg to do that, because really you're responsible and accountable for your own health and well-being.
So this is a great meaningful marketing strategy for you to be able to use, to be able to help people and support them in their life, give them access to all your yoga, give them access to meditations, any special words that you've got, or sharing different postures and things as well. Yes. So I think it's a great strategy to use. I do love Patreon. I think it's amazing. What is your name on there so people can follow you?
It's Jack the Yogi. No, because I was thinking Guru. It's Jack the Yogi. So JACKEDYOGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why that name?
Someone named me that too. They're like, "Oh, you're just a Jack the Yogi."
So don't do that, please. Please don't have multiple names on multiple platforms. No. That's a no-no.
Yeah. I think I might just change it back to Ian Cariaga. How's that? That'd be
easier. Oh, well, where people are building a relationship with you. So I always say, even with my other businesses and that, it's always like online business marketing with Chantal Girardi, because I am the person doing the marketing strategy. So the relationship is built with me. My personal brand is me. It's always you doing the yoga. So it really is the business of you. And when you're going out and representing yourself in yoga and all the events that you do, they're not going to remember your business name. They're going to remember you. Yeah.
Well, they just call me Guru. So.
You should probably stick with that then.
Too high. Yeah. I'm just like, Ian's fine.
I'm going to say with the whole Guru thing, you only have to know more than the person that you're speaking to. So you don't need years experience. You just need to know more than the person that you're speaking to, and they've got to be prepared to pay you for it to be a guru. Yeah. That's my rule. Because there'll be someone always above you, and there'll always be someone below you. So so I do like that. So last but not least, you've got a cap on that says it's just yoga. And he always says this when, new members come to the yoga class, it is just yoga.
Because it really is just yoga. I know they're sweating bullets. Their back is crying. But it's still just yoga.
It's still just yoga. But the yoga that you do is very different. So do you want to just explain very quickly? Because I always say marketing is about what you do that's different to everyone else. So if you were to explain your yoga, because there's millions of different yoga teachers, what is the type of yoga that you teach? What is so special about the way that you teach it and what you teach? I know what it is, but do you know what it is?
So when someone asks you, right, what type of yoga do you teach? What style of yoga you teach? Technically, there's only one, right? And then beneath the one, there's only 4 pillars, right? So hatha is like the basis of the foundation of yoga, right? Ha-ta. So ha, sun, moon, really, right? So it's understanding that in the alignment of the earth as well. And then beneath that, there's nana, which I talk about the cosmos, the stars, the universe, right? So that's a pillar of hatha yoga. And then there's bhakti. So bhakti means devotion, right? So you're devoting your time. It could be devoting it to some deity, whatever it is. But really, that has to do with devoting it to yourself. And then there's karma, which is cause and effect, right? And an offshoot of that could be, say, kriya, right? So in terms of how we purify ourselves. And then Raja Yoga, right? So the real pathway, the old school originating pathway of how yoga was done back in the day. So generally, you would have a blend of all 4, right? I try to incorporate all 4 layers into the practice. But when someone asks me, I go, it's just yoga. Yeah, so you'll get a combination of that. But really, it's four main pillars off the main foundation of hatha.
So for me, the difference with what Ian does is that it is about managing the mind, and he does educate while he actually facilitates the yoga class. So for me, those are massive points of difference, because for me, I find that when I'm doing something, I like to know why I'm doing it. So when I was a personal trainer, when I was a triathlon coach, I always didn't just give people instructions and say, do it. I always told them the why they should do it and educated them on that. And I think that's something that I appreciate about your yoga.
Thank you. Someone did mention to me, they're like, they were actually someone who taught yoga as well. And they said, well, one, you're not an instructor, you're a teacher. Right? So there's a million instructors out there, and yoga instructors, but there's very few that are actually yoga teachers. Right? But when I say, I'm not really teaching anything. I'm just blurting out some words from time to time. Hopes that something sticks and then inspires you because of whatever you're curious about to empower your life in some way.
Yeah.
Really, that's it.
I think, as business owners, we forget our juice and we forget our glitter.
Yeah.
We remember our passion and what we're doing, but sometimes we actually forget what is so special about that. So I always say, like, if you're looking to find what that is, listen to what people say about you and write that down somewhere. Read the testimonials that they share, and you'll notice common themes the whole time and go, you're constantly educating us. You're constantly helping us to teach us to manage our mind. You're drawing the connection between the mind and what's happening inside the body. And when these common themes keep coming up, you go, those are my key messages. Those are my points of difference. Those are the things that I need to sprinkle my juice as a coach. That's my juice and my glitter, and that's what I need to be spreading out amongst everyone else, because that'll make me shine above everyone else. But sometimes when we look at ourselves, we don't see it.
Yeah.
So it's important to have those conversations with other people and listen to them and hear what they're saying about you.
Yeah, there's one thing that I sent a post out this morning that I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but Steve Jobs, who's like the head of Apple, one of the co-founders of Apple, at his memorial, the instruction was to hand out this one book, because he basically found this book when he was in high school, read it once a year, every single year for like his entire life.
Yeah.
And the book that he gave out at his memorial was The Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda. And he said those certain aspects and, like, I guess, guidelines or observances, we call them, helped him get to the point when they brought him back to Apple the second time around, that created the iPhone, the iPod, right? That stuff. So, and it was from yoga.
Love it.
So it was amazing to see that. And I just posted that because a lot of people don't know. And they just came up just randomly for me.
Amazing.
I said, this people know this about creativity. Do some yoga.
Yeah, creativity, clarity, 100% yoga. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for
this
having
is
me,
another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. If you haven't already, please make sure that you rate us or comment. And also you can jump onto the meaningfulmarketingpodcast.com.au, and there's a whole bunch of free downloads there for you as well. And you can connect with your favorite platform, including on YouTube. Thanks again to Ian, and we will put your Patreon link in the comments below.
All right. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye.